Welcome back to Double Nickel. We're spending the weekend over here in Nashville, and you can see the downtown skyline behind me. We're visiting our son, and I'm recording from his balcony. It's hot out here, so if I cut this short, you'll know why. And there's lots of city traffic noise that you might be able to hear. I hope it's not too distracting. But I just came away from what may be my last leadership meeting. Our team had their annual meeting Thursday and Friday, and something about that meeting felt different. That the setting out here on this balcony, many floors up, overlooking a bustling downtown, reminded me of, and I thought I would share those thoughts with you. The first thing that seemed a little bit different about this meeting is that the future conversation didn't feel like my future anymore, my conversation any longer. People were talking about 3-year and 5-year plans, long-term initiatives, where the organization's heading, how we're going to address and utilize AI as a company. And for the first time in my career, I realized that I wasn't mentally attaching myself to any of those conversations or points. Not because they aren't important, not because they don't matter at all. They absolutely are, and they do matter. But because that future belongs to someone else. There's someone else in the organization, in the company, that those conversations apply to. Just about everyone there. So I was the oddball. I was the one that didn't quite fit in the conversation at times, it felt like. Not intentional, it was just a function of the reality. Another thing that I noticed is how people interacted with me a little differently than would typically happen at these kind of meetings. Friends jokingly approached me with the, "Come on, you can stay one more year," or as we talked about the exciting things happening in the future for our company, it was kind of the appeal to, "Well, don't you want to be part of that?" And on the one hand, there's a piece of me that kind of does, that can see that. But on the other hand, not really. And then there are the others who were sort of treating me as someone whose chapter is already ending, kind of yesterday's news. Neither a reaction bothered me as much as I thought it might, as I expected it could have. It just made me realize something, and that is that organizations are naturally oriented to look forward, and they have to survive. Companies and competitive organizations don't have options around being stagnant. If they do that, they go away. As a matter of fact, that was part of the meeting this week. We had a little book that we read that talked about how we don't do it that way around here, and it was a metaphor to talk about the need for change and keeping up with technology and things like that. And so eventually every one of us becomes part of an organization's history and part of its past rather than its future. And more so than ever before at this few days of meeting, it felt that way for me. Something also unexpectedly happened. Oddly enough, I noticed that people listened a little more carefully to what I had to say, I think. Maybe because I don't have anything to prove anymore. Maybe it's because they know I'm not competing for the next promotion, so I have no reason to posture. Really don't have skin in the game beyond the best interest of the organization. Or maybe just experience carries a little more weight when everyone knows that you're nearing the finish line. As I've shared with you, I'm making no secret out of the fact that early next year I'm retiring, so everyone is well aware that for me, this is sort of the last rodeo. And so those are some things that I noticed, about the meeting. It was a surreal thing as we talked about what the plans are and what the implementation plan for that is going to be, and tactics around how to execute that on a small level, and then strategically raising it up a notch on how the organization as a whole is embracing AI and addressing some of the challenges in our marketplace. Then the different reactions from people. It was kind of the first time that I truly experienced that. He doesn't matter that much kind of feeling from some of the people, and that's okay. I have no resentment at all whatsoever with that. And then the gravity of maybe some of my words having an impact. One of our senior VPs was running the meeting on Friday and pivoted the agenda to, in response to a question that I'd asked, and a lesson that I had learned on a previous project, and not just me, but several of us had learned, and I wanted to make sure that as we begin to implement some new technologies as an organization, that we thought about those things that weren't so great about previous implementations. And I really just hoped and desired to see that go better this time. Well, as we came back from a break, instead of the next presentation, they turned to me and queued me up to say, hey, restate what you shared with us on the break, and we're going to have a group discussion around it. So that was interesting. This has been a unique few days for me. And then there was a bittersweet part. I expected some excitement. I joked around my boss a little bit about, hey, checking the box. I sent a little video recording of the very opening moments, the morning before everything started. Said, hey, this is the last one of these for me. And so there's a part of me that kind of thought, there'll be a little bit of relief of getting through this meeting, some excitement, and there is some of that. That's true. But what I didn't expect was sort of the bittersweetness of it all. There was gratitude. I have a lot of gratitude for the opportunities that I've had, for the career I've been able to lead. Some nostalgia as I thought back over the years when I was sharing those lessons learned and my hopes around how future implementations would go. Experienced some nostalgia. I think anybody would who's been around something for decades. And then there's a realization that this was a chapter of life that truly mattered. It really mattered. And so for you, what I would like you to realize is that when you're in the midst of this, when you're in the midst of your career, of your work life, you're in a period that is so impactful, not just to your own personal plans of when you're going to retire. We talk about that on this channel a little bit. But it matters to that organization. It matters to those people that you work with. It's a bigger impact than you probably realize if you spend a long time at the same place. And then there was an awareness that it's okay for the chapters to end. It's not always bad. It's not always a negative. There doesn't have to be a tragedy around every ending. Sometimes it's just the right time. Sometimes the season of life changes for us, and for me, that's where I'm at. And I think most people recognize that. I enjoy technology. I enjoy doing this with you. I'm amazed that here we are, just 3 months into this kind of hobby for me, this channel that I hope some of you benefit from, that there's been over 1,000 views of these videos. It's kind of mind-boggling to me, if that's the case. Not that many subscribers, and I know that's not really that many views. There are plenty of channels that put a single video out that have more views than that. But just the reality that, here we are 3 months in, and I'm sharing what transition is like for me in a lot of areas and aspects, and it seems to be resonating. This seemed like such a perfect context for it. I'm up here thinking about what this week has been like. There's all this traffic below, all this activity. People are going about this crucial and critical part of their life that I've been coming out of. They're making it happen. And I'm up here above it on this balcony, kind of watching it all go by. It's a cool metaphor, I thought, for how life is from career into retirement. As I feel myself kind of on the escalator, on the elevator, coming up above the hustle and bustle of career life. It's a unique perspective. Anyway, I hope this has been beneficial to you, that you've gained something from it, that you realize that whatever stage of life you're in, those moments truly do matter. We make memories, we build relationships, we're investing in ourselves, we're investing in others, if we're being quality employees and good people, and that comes back to you in a lot of positive ways. So I hope this gives you an opportunity to reflect as well on your life and wherever you're at with it. Well, until next time, see where Double Nickel takes us.